Waitress overhears strange conversation between mother and daughter about pain, and what she does saves a life. Emily Thompson had worked at Grandma's Corner restaurant for nearly 10 years and thought she'd seen it all. Angry customers, children throwing tantrums, couples fighting, families celebrating. But on that Tuesday morning, something different caught her attention in a way that left her deeply unsettled. It was when she noticed the brown-haired woman whispering insistently into her teenage daughter's ear. The girl, who couldn't have been older than 15, was clutching her stomach with an expression of pain Emily recognized immediately. The fragmented words she caught while serving the next table sent a chill down her spine. "Just hold on a little longer. You can't eat right now. It's for your future, Olivia." The mother only asked for lemon water for her daughter, explaining to Emily that she was on a diet for an important competition. Emily tried to smile politely, but something inside her twisted. The girl's barely noticeable hand tremors, the paleness of her face, the way she avoided eye contact. It all stirred painful memories the waitress had tried to bury long ago. The woman introduced herself as Karen Wilson, a math teacher at the local public high school. She spoke proudly about her daughter Olivia's academic achievements, how she'd won several math competitions and was being prepped for a special selection at an elite school in Chicago. "She's a prodigy, you know," Karen said, while Olivia remained silent, staring blankly at her lemon water. "She's going to get a full scholarship to the best private school in the state. Her future is at stake." Emily nodded politely and walked away to tend to other tables, but she couldn't shake the image from her mind. The way Olivia hunched her shoulders when her mother mentioned the selection, as if carrying an invisible weight only she could feel. Over the next few days, mother and daughter returned to the restaurant at the same time, 9 in the morning, when things were quieter. Emily began noticing the details. Olivia's clothes grew looser, as if she were trying to hide something. Her eyes, which might have once sparkled with teenage curiosity, now looked glassy and distant. Karen kept the same routine: lemon water for Olivia, black coffee for herself. All the while, she talked non-stop about study schedules, practice tests, and the importance of staying focused. Olivia just nodded, stirring her straw mechanically. "The selection is in 2 months," Emily overheard Karen say one morning. "We can't slack off now. Every minute counts. Every sacrifice is worth it." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. Emily grew increasingly uneasy. She tried striking up casual conversation a few times, asking about school and studies. Karen always answered enthusiastically, but Olivia stayed silent, as if she weren't really there. "She studies 16 hours a day," Karen boasted during one of these talks. "Wakes up at 5 in the morning, studies until 9 at night. No breaks, no distractions. That's how you build a bright future." Emily felt a shiver down her spine. 16 hours a day. That couldn't be healthy for a teenager. But who was she to question a teacher's parenting methods? She masked her concern and kept working. It was on a Thursday that Emily witnessed something that truly alarmed her. Olivia was drinking her lemon water when she suddenly began shaking violently. Her eyes rolled back and she nearly fainted, catching herself on the table at the last second. "Olivia!" Karen whispered sharply, but instead of showing concern, she seemed annoyed. "Stop with the drama. You know you can't draw attention like this." "Sorry, Mom," murmured Olivia, still trembling. I didn't sleep well." "Sleep is a luxury you can't afford right now," Karen replied, glancing around to see if anyone was watching. "There are 7 weeks left until the selection, 7 weeks to change our entire lives." Emily pretended to wipe down a nearby table, but was listening to every word. Something was deeply wrong with this situation, and her suspicions were confirmed when she saw Olivia discreetly pull pills from her backpack and swallow them quickly before her mother noticed. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. The image of Olivia shaking, Karen's reaction, the hidden pills, it all transported her back to a dark period in her own life when she had lost her younger sister Jessica, under circumstances that still haunted her. Jessica had also been brilliant, also pressured to excel academically. She too had hidden secrets no one in the family noticed until it was too late. Emily remembered the signs she'd ignored, the missed chances to help, the guilt she'd carried ever since. The next day she arrived early for her shift and spoke to Diane, her co-worker. "Have you noticed that woman who always comes in with her teenage daughter?" Emily asked, trying to sound casual. "The teacher?" "Of course, she never stops talking about how gifted her daughter is," Diane replied, straightening the tables. "Why?" "I don't know. There's something off about that situation. The girl seems, I don't know, sick." Diane stopped what she was doing and looked directly at Emily. "Emily, you can't keep meddling in customers' lives. Remember what happened at your last job?" Emily knew Diane was referring to a time she'd tried to help a family and ended up misunderstood. But this time was different. This time she was certain something very serious was happening. On Friday, Karen and Olivia arrived as usual. But this time Emily noticed Olivia looked even worse. She had deep dark circles under her eyes and her hands wouldn't stop shaking. When Emily approached to serve the lemon water, the girl grabbed her wrist. "Help me," Olivia whispered, so softly Emily barely heard. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" Emily asked, her heart racing. But Karen cut in before Olivia could respond. "She's fine, thank you. Just a little tired from studying. It's normal during this intense preparation phase." Olivia let go of Emily's wrist and lowered her head, as if she'd given up on asking for help. Emily stepped away but decided she needed to learn more. During her lunch break, she went to the public high school where Karen worked. She knew the principal, Mrs. Patterson, from when her own daughter had attended. "Emily, what a surprise to see you here," Mrs. Patterson greeted. "How's your girl?" "She's doing well, thank you. Actually, I came to ask about something else. Do you know the teacher, Karen Wilson?" Mrs. Patterson's expression shifted slightly. "I do. Why?" "She's a regular at the restaurant where I work, always comes in with her daughter. The girl doesn't seem well and I'm worried." Mrs. Patterson sighed and motioned for Emily to sit. "Olivia is an exceptional student, that's true, but we've become aware that Karen has very strict teaching methods." "What do you mean?" "We've had some complaints from other parents. They say Karen criticizes other students' study methods, suggesting their parents aren't dedicated enough. We've tried talking to her, but she always says she's just trying to inspire others to do their best." "And Olivia? How is she doing in school?" "Brilliant as always, but..." Mrs. Patterson hesitated. "She's been missing a lot of classes. Her mother always sends notes saying she's competing in tournaments or doing guided studies at home." Emily felt a knot in her stomach. This confirmed her suspicions that something was very wrong. "Mrs. Patterson, do you think I'm overreacting if I say I'm worried about Olivia's well-being?" The principal looked her in the eyes for a long moment before answering. "No, Emily, you're not overreacting. We're concerned too, but our hands are somewhat tied. Karen is a respected teacher, and technically Olivia isn't failing anything. It's a delicate situation." Emily returned to work even more certain she needed to do something. She spent the rest of the afternoon thinking how to approach things without making it worse for Olivia. The following week, she decided to change her strategy. Instead of confronting Karen or Olivia directly, she began observing more closely and making mental notes. Monday. Olivia arrived with a bruise on her arm, which she tried hiding under her sleeve. When Emily asked if she was okay, Karen said it was a minor accident during relaxation exercises. Tuesday. Olivia dozed off at the table for a few seconds and jolted awake when her mother touched her shoulder. Karen explained she'd studied very late the night before. Wednesday. Emily saw Olivia taking more pills from her backpack, but this time she could read the label from afar. It was a prescription stimulant. Thursday. Olivia didn't show up. Karen came alone, saying her daughter was at home, focusing on an important test. Friday. Both returned, but Olivia looked noticeably thinner and paler. Emily knew she couldn't stay silent any longer. Over the weekend, she researched extreme stress in teenagers online and was horrified by what she found. Every symptom she'd noticed in Olivia was listed there: weight loss, insomnia, stimulant use, social withdrawal, trembling episodes. Dear listener, If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us newcomers. Now continuing. The following Monday, she made a decision that would change everything. When Karen and Olivia arrived for their usual breakfast, Emily was ready. She'd written a small note on a napkin. "If you need help, find me, Emily." She discreetly passed it to Olivia while serving lemon water. The girl's reaction was instant. Her eyes welled up, but she quickly hid the napkin before her mother noticed. Karen seemed particularly agitated that day. "Only 3 weeks until the selection," she muttered, more to herself than to Olivia. 3 weeks until everything we've planned becomes reality. You can't falter now, Olivia. You can't disappoint me." "I won't disappoint you, Mom," Olivia replied, but her voice was faint, barely audible. "I hope not. Because if you don't get that scholarship, all our sacrifices, the sleepless nights, everything, will have been for nothing. And I don't know if I can forgive that." Emily felt a wave of anger rise in her chest. How could a mother speak to her own child like that? How could she pile so much pressure on a teenager's shoulders? Later, while cleaning the bathroom, she found Olivia inside, crying uncontrollably. "Olivia, sweetheart, what's going on?" I can't take it anymore," the girl sobbed. "I haven't slept properly in months. I study so much that sometimes I forget where I am. My mum gives me these pills to stay awake, but they make me really anxious." "What kind of pills?" "She says they're vitamins, but I know they're not. They make my heart race, and sometimes I have horrible nightmares." Emily sat on the floor beside Olivia and hugged her. "Olivia, what do you really want? Forget what your mom wants, forget the selection process. What do you want for your life?" I just want to sleep," Olivia said between sobs. "I want to sleep and wake up without the first thing on my mind being studying. I want to talk to my friends, watch a movie, eat something sweet without feeling guilty." "And your dad? Where is he in all this?" "My parents split up 2 years ago. My dad lives in Denver now. He tried to visit me a few times, but my mum always said I was too busy studying. I think he gave up." Emily's heart broke. That girl was completely isolated, with no one to protect her from the overwhelming pressure her mother was putting on her. "Olivia, have you thought about talking to someone at school? A teacher, the counselor?" "My mom teaches there. Everyone respects her. Who's going to believe me if I say she's mistreating me? She always says she's doing this out of love, for my future. But it's not love to force someone to take unnecessary medication, keep them from sleeping properly, or isolate them from friends and family." "I know," Olivia whispered. "But she's all I have. If I disappoint her, I'll be alone in the world." At that moment, Emily made a decision she knew was risky but necessary. "Olivia, I'm going to help you. I don't know how yet, but I'll find a way. You're not alone, understand?" The bathroom door suddenly opened and Karen appeared. "Olivia, what are you doing in here so long?" Her eyes turned to Emily with suspicion. "And you, what are you doing here?" "Just cleaning the bathroom, Mrs. Wilson." Olivia said she wasn't feeling well. "Olivia isn't sick, she's just nervous about the selection process, which is normal. Come on, Olivia, we have to go home. There are still 3 chapters of physics to review today." Olivia stood up obediently, but before leaving, she looked at Emily with an expression that mixed hope and despair. That night, Emily couldn't sleep a wink. She kept thinking of ways to help Olivia without making the girl's situation worse. She remembered her sister-in-law, Deborah, worked at Child Protective Services. Maybe she could offer some advice on how to proceed. The next morning, before work, she called Deborah. "Deborah, I need your help with a delicate situation." "Of course, Emily, what's going on?" Emily told the whole story, from her first observations to the conversation in the bathroom. Deborah listened in silence. "Emily, what you're describing could be classified as psychological abuse. Giving unprescribed medication to a minor is a serious issue, but you're right to be careful about how we handle this. If we approach it wrong, it could make things worse for the girl. What do you suggest?" "First, we need more evidence. If you can document some of these incidents, photograph the medication, note the dates and times of what you've witnessed, that would help. Second, It's important to try contacting the girl's father. How can I find him? If he lives in Denver and the family's last name is Wilson, it shouldn't be too hard. I'll see what I can find in the system here. Emily hung up the phone, feeling a bit more hopeful. At least now she had a plan. Over the next few days, she began documenting everything she observed. She discreetly took photos of Olivia when she was visibly upset, noted the dates and times she witnessed concerning situations, and even managed to snap a picture of the pills when Olivia dropped them on the bathroom floor. She also started paying closer attention to Karen's behavior. She noticed the woman was equally stressed, with deep dark circles under her eyes, and an increasingly obsessive attitude toward her daughter's studies. During one of their casual conversations, Karen mentioned she had attended the same school Olivia was trying to get a scholarship for. "It was my dream to study there," she said with a strange gleam in her eyes. "But my parents couldn't afford it. And back then, there weren't as many scholarship opportunities. I had to go to public high school and ended up not getting into a good university." "But you're a teacher, aren't you? You must have gone to college." "I did, yes. But I've always felt I could have gone much further if I'd had the right opportunities. That's why I'm doing everything I can so Olivia doesn't go through what I did." Emily began to understand the dynamic of their relationship better. Karen wasn't just pushing her daughter out of cruelty, she was projecting her own frustrated dreams onto Olivia, unaware of how harmful it was becoming. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now back to the story. Deborah called on Thursday with news about Olivia's father. "I found him. His name is Michael Wilson. He works as an engineer in Denver. I got his phone number. Do you want me to call or would you rather do it?" "I think I should call. I'll explain the situation and see if he can help." Emily waited until the end of her shift to make the call. She was nervous, unsure how Michael would react to a stranger calling about his daughter. "Hello? Mr. Michael? My name is Emily Thompson. I work at a restaurant here in Chicago, and I know your daughter, Olivia." There was a pause on the other end. "Olivia? How is she? It's been months since I've been able to talk to her. Karen always says she's too busy with her studies." "Mr. Michael, that's exactly what I need to talk to you about. I'm very worried about Olivia's condition." Emily told Michael the whole story, and he listened with growing alarm. "My God," he said when she finished. "I knew Karen was strict about school, but I had no idea it had gone this far. I've been trying to stay in touch with Olivia, but whenever I call, Karen answers and says she's either sleeping or studying. Can you come to Chicago? I think Olivia really needs you right now. I'll take the first flight tomorrow morning. Can you give me the restaurant's address? I'd like to meet you in person and thank you for noticing what was happening." "Of course, Mr. Michael. But there's one more thing I need to tell you. The selection is next week. I'm afraid of what might happen if Olivia doesn't pass, or if the pressure keeps building." "I understand. We'll handle this before it's too late." Emily hung up, feeling a mix of relief and anxiety. At least Michael was on his way, but she knew things could still get very complicated. On Friday, Karen and Olivia arrived at the restaurant earlier than usual. Olivia looked noticeably worse, her hands trembling and her face nearly grey with exhaustion. "The selection is on Monday," Karen told Emily without being asked. "We're doing the final review. Olivia's a little nervous, but that's normal." Emily looked at Olivia, who seemed on the verge of a nervous breakdown. "Can I bring you something to eat? Maybe some bread, a piece of fruit?" "No," Karen replied louder than she intended. "I mean, thank you, but Olivia is fasting to stay focused. It's a technique I learned from a study magazine." "Fasting?" Emily felt a wave of indignation. This was the final factor needed to confirm a serious case of mistreatment. Throughout the morning, she'd noticed Olivia struggling to stay awake. Several times her head drooped forward, and she'd jolt awake when Karen touched her arm. That's when Michael walked into the diner. Emily recognized him immediately from the features Olivia had inherited. A middle-aged man with a worried but determined expression. "Olivia," he said, approaching the table. Olivia's reaction was instant. She lifted her head, her eyes filling with tears. "Daddy," she whispered, disbelieving. Karen turned, clearly shocked. "Michael, what are you doing here?" "I came to see my daughter," he said firmly. "And from what I can see, I got here just in time." Michael sat beside Olivia and wrapped his arms around her. The girl collapsed into sobs against her father's chest. "Daddy, I can't take it anymore," she cried. "I'm so tired, so confused. I don't even know if I want to pass this selection anymore." "Karen, what have you done to our daughter?" Michael asked, his voice controlled but seething with anger. "I'm preparing her for the future we never had," Karen replied defensively. "Everything I do is out of love." "That's not love, Karen, that's obsession." Emily stepped closer quietly, wanting to help, but unsure how to intervene. "Mr. Michael," she said timidly. "I'm Emily, the one who called you." Michael stood and shook Emily's hand warmly. "Emily, thank you so much. If you hadn't called, I might never have known what was happening." "Wait a minute," Karen interrupted, looking between Michael and Emily. "You talked about me, about Olivia?" "Yes, Karen. And now I'm taking Olivia with me to Denver until she recovers." "You can't do that. The selection is on Monday. If she misses it, she'll lose the opportunity of a lifetime." "The opportunity of her lifetime or yours, Karen?" Michael's question silenced Karen for a moment. Emily could see the confusion and internal conflict in the woman's eyes. I just want what's best for her." "Then look at your daughter, Karen. Really look. Is this what's best for her?" Karen turned to Olivia, still clinging to her father, trembling and crying. For the first time, she seemed to truly see her daughter's state. "Olivia," she said softly. "Sweetheart, are you okay?" Olivia lifted her head and looked at her mother. "No, Mom, I'm not okay. I haven't been okay for a long time." But you never said anything. You always told me everything was fine." "Because I was afraid of disappointing you. I was scared you'd stop loving me if I wasn't the perfect daughter you wanted." Karen looked as if she'd been struck. Her hands began to shake. "Olivia, I'll always love you. No test or selection will ever change that. Then why do you make me take medicine that hurts me? Why won't you let me sleep? Why can't I talk to my friends or see my dad?" Karen glanced around, as if truly seeing the situation for the first time. Other diners were discreetly watching, and Emily could see the woman beginning to grasp the severity of what she'd done. I didn't realize I was being so harsh. I just wanted you to have every opportunity I never had." Michael stood, still holding Olivia. "Karen, we need to talk, but first Olivia needs medical attention. She's clearly malnourished and exhausted." "Medical care?" Karen seemed alarmed. "She's not sick, just tired." "Mom," said Olivia, her voice weak but determined. "I need help. I have nightmares every night. I can't concentrate properly even though I study so much, and sometimes I feel like I might faint." Emily approached again. "If I may suggest, I know a very good doctor nearby, Dr. Sarah Mitchell. She specializes in teenagers and is very understanding." Michael nodded. "That's a good idea. Let's take Olivia there now." "But what about the selection?" asked Karen, still clinging to her obsession. "The selection will have to wait," Michael said firmly. "Our daughter's health is more important than any school." When they left the restaurant, Emily offered to go with them. She felt responsible for Olivia and wanted to make sure everything would be all right. At Dr. Sarah Mitchell's clinic, the tests revealed what Emily already suspected. Olivia showed signs of malnutrition, severe exhaustion, and acute anxiety syndrome. The doctor also confirmed that the pills the girl had been taking were strong stimulants, unsuitable for her age. This medication can cause dependency and serious heart problems in teenagers, the doctor explained to Karen. "How did she get these pills?" Karen lowered her head, ashamed. I got them from school. They're pills some teachers use to work late. I thought they might help Olivia stay focused." "Mrs. Wilson, this is extremely dangerous. Your daughter could have had serious heart problems." Michael held Karen's hand. "Karen, I know you wanted to help, but we almost lost our daughter. We need to change this now." The doctor recommended that Olivia be hospitalized for a few days for medical monitoring and that the whole family undergo psychological therapy. During the hospitalization, Emily visited Olivia every day after work. She brought books, drawings made by the neighborhood kids, and most importantly, comforting conversations. "Emily," Olivia said during one of these visits, "why did you care about me?" You didn't even know me. Because I've been through something similar, sweetheart. I lost my sister because no one noticed the signs that she needed help. I didn't want the same thing to happen to you. What happened to your sister? Emily sighed deeply. It was the first time she had told that story to anyone. My sister Jessica was a lot like you. Smart, dedicated, always wanting to please everyone. Our parents put a lot of pressure on her to be successful. She developed anxiety issues, stopped eating properly, started using stimulants. And what happened? She had a nervous breakdown during an important college entrance exam. She was hospitalized for months and was never the same. Today she lives in a small town, works at a library, and though she's okay, she never achieved the dreams she had. Not for lack of ability, but because the pressure she endured broke something inside her. Olivia was silent for a moment. Do you think I'll be okay? I'm sure you will. Because you were lucky to have people who care about you, and most importantly, you had the courage to ask for help. Meanwhile, Michael and Karen were attending family therapy with the clinic's psychologist, Dr. Robert. During one session, Karen finally broke down. I know I went too far, she said, crying, but when I look at Olivia, I see all the opportunities I missed. When I was a teenager, my parents couldn't support my studies. I worked during the day and studied at night. I always dreamed of having a different life. Karen, said Dr. Robert, it's understandable that you want to give your daughter better opportunities. But you need to understand that her dreams might be different from yours. What do you mean? Have you ever asked Olivia what she really wants for her life? Karen Wilson fell silent. She had never asked that question. Does Olivia like math? The psychologist continued. Of course she does. She's exceptional. But does she like it? Or is she just good at it? I don't know. Michael Wilson spoke up. Karen, remember when Olivia was little? She loved to draw, make up stories, take care of her grandmother's plants. When did that change? Karen began to cry. When I found out she was good at math, I thought that was the path to a better future. But you never asked if that's what she wanted, Michael said gently. After a week in the hospital, Olivia was discharged. The tests showed she was recovering well physically, but would still need psychological follow-up. The first thing they did was sit down together. Olivia, Michael, Karen, and Emily Thompson, who had become like an aunt to the girl, and talk about the future. Olivia, Karen said, taking her daughter's hands, forgive me for not listening to you. Forgive me for putting my dreams above your well-being. I forgive you, Mom. I know you wanted to help me. Now I want to know, what do you really want for your life? Olivia thought for a moment. I do like math, but I like other things too. I like drawing, writing, talking to people. I don't want my life to be just studying. What about the entrance exam? Michael asked. I can take it next year if I still want to, but for now, I just want to be a normal teenager for a while. Karen nodded, tears in her eyes. Okay, we'll go at your pace. Emily smiled, feeling a sense of relief and fulfillment she hadn't felt in years. In the following months, the Wilson family went through a gradual but profound transformation. Michael decided to move back to Chicago to be closer to Olivia. Karen started individual therapy to work through her own issues with pressure and expectations. Olivia returned to a normal study routine, but also got to resume her other activities. She started taking drawing classes, going out with friends again, and even joined the school's theater group. Emily became a constant presence in their lives. Karen, who had initially resented her interference, gradually grew grateful for the courage the waitress had shown in speaking up. You saved my daughter, Karen told Emily during one of their regular meetups at the restaurant. And in a way, you saved me too. How so? I was becoming someone I didn't recognize, obsessive, controlling, blind to the fact that I was hurting the person I love most. You gave me my daughter back and helped me remember who I really am. A year later, Olivia decided to take the elite school entrance exam, but this time it was her choice. No pressure, with a healthy study schedule. She passed, but chose to stay at her current school because she had made friends and felt happy there. Mom, she told Karen, I realized what makes me happy isn't being at the best school, but being at a school where I can be myself." Karen smiled. "You're right. And you know what? I'm proud of you no matter where you study." Grandma's Corner became a regular meeting place for the family. Every Saturday, Michael, Karen, Olivia, and sometimes Emily would gather for lunch. Other families in the neighborhood began joining them, and slowly, an informal support group for parents and kids formed. "It's funny," Emily said to her boss, Mrs. Diane, one day. "I never thought a restaurant could become a place of healing." "People need places where they feel safe to talk about their struggles," Mrs. Diane replied. "You created that here without even realizing it." Olivia, now 16, was thriving. Her grades remained excellent, but she was also participating in the school's art club, had befriended teenagers of various ages, and most importantly, she was happy. During one of the Saturday meetings, she made an announcement. "I figured out what I want to do when I grow up." "What is it?" everyone asked at once. "I want to be a psychologist specializing in teenagers. I want to help families like ours." Michael and Karen looked at each other and smiled. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," said Karen. "And this time we'll support you the right way." Emily felt her eyes fill with tears. Seeing Olivia not just recovered, but turning her painful experience into something positive to help others, was more than she could have hoped for. "You know, Olivia," Emily said, "I'm sure you'll be an exceptional psychologist, because you understand what it means to suffer and recover." "I learned that from you, Aunt Emily. You showed me that sometimes the person who saves our life is someone we don't even know well, but who cares enough to act." 2 years later, the Wilson family's story had inspired other families in the neighborhood. Karen began giving talks at schools about the dangers of excessive academic pressure, always accompanied by Olivia, who shared her perspective as a daughter. Michael and Karen reconciled their marriage, but this time based on more open and honest communication. Olivia was preparing for her psychology college entrance exams, studying at her own pace with proper emotional support. The restaurant Grandma's Corner formalized the support group that had formed naturally. Every Saturday afternoon, families gathered to talk about the challenges of education, social pressures, and most importantly, how to balance supporting and pressuring their children. Emily was promoted to assistant manager, recognized not just for her dedication to work, but for her ability to create a welcoming environment for the families who frequented the establishment. "I never imagined my job could be so meaningful," she told Olivia during one of those Saturday afternoons. "Aunt Emily, you've always been special. You just needed a chance to show it." Olivia was now 18, about to start college. She had grown into a confident, empathetic, and determined young woman. She maintained good grades, but also had a healthy social life, played sports, and most importantly, had a balanced relationship with her parents. "Sometimes I think about what would have happened if you hadn't noticed the signs," Olivia said to Emily one afternoon. "I don't like to think about that," Emily replied. "I'd rather think about how much you've grown and all the people you'll help in the future." "You know the most important lesson I learned from all this?" "What?" "That true love is caring about the person's well-being, not our own dreams projected onto them." Karen, who had been listening, stepped closer. "Olivia's right. It took me a while to understand that my love was selfish. I wasn't loving Olivia. I was loving the idea of who I wanted her to be." "But you learned, Mom, and now you help other families avoid making the same mistake." "That's true. And it all started with Emily having the courage to step into a situation that wasn't her problem." Emily shook her head. "It was my problem. When we see someone suffering and can help, it becomes our problem too." On the day of Olivia's high school graduation, the entire extended family was there. Michael, Karen, Emily, Mrs. Diane, Deborah, and several families who had benefited from the support group. During her graduation speech, Olivia mentioned her story. "I learned that success isn't about being perfect or meeting others' expectations. It's about being true to yourself and having people who love us for who we are, not for what we achieve." After the ceremony, Michael approached Emily. "Emily, I'll never be able to thank you enough for what you've done for our family." "Michael, seeing Olivia happy and all of you united is all the thanks I need. Still, I want you to know you've changed our lives forever." Karen joined the conversation. Emily, I have a question for you. Go ahead. Have you ever thought about studying psychology? I think you'd make an excellent family therapist. Emily laughed. Actually, I've been thinking about it. Maybe I'll go to college with Olivia. Really? Olivia asked excitedly. That would be amazing. I'm considering it. At 42, maybe it's time to follow a new dream. 3 years later, on a Saturday morning at Grandma's Corner restaurant, a special event was taking place. It was the official launch of the Listening Project, a family support program that had grown out of those informal Saturday gatherings. Emily, now in her second year of psychology studies, was helping coordinate the project alongside Olivia, who was in her third year of the same program. Karen had become an official speaker on academic pressure, and Michael used his engineering experience to help with administrative tasks. Who would have thought a strange conversation between a mother and daughter in a restaurant would turn into all this? Said Mrs. Diane, watching the room full of families participating in the activities. The best things in life start this way, Emily replied, with someone paying attention and caring enough to act. Olivia approached, beaming. Aunt Emily, I just got the confirmation. I was accepted into the master's program in family psychology. That's wonderful. And I have news too. What? The university dean wants the Listening Project to become an official outreach program. That means we'll be able to help even more families. Exactly. Karen joined the conversation, holding a certificate. Girls, look, I received my family mediation certification. Now I can officially help families in crisis. Michael appeared right behind her, smiling. And I have news too. The company I work for wants to implement a family support program for employees, based on what we've developed here. Emily looked around the restaurant, seeing families talking, children playing, parents and kids learning to communicate better. It was hard to believe it had all started with a casual observation during an ordinary work shift. You know what amazes me the most, she said to Olivia. It's how a simple act of caring can have effects that spread far beyond what we imagine. It's true, and to think everything could have been different if you'd decided not to get involved. But I did, and look where it led. Just then, a young woman in her early 20s approached timidly. Excuse me, are you with the Listening Project? Yes, we are, Emily replied. How can I help you? My name is Madison. I heard about your work through a friend. I'm going through a situation similar to what you helped resolve. My parents are putting a lot of pressure on me about school and she began to cry. I don't know what to do anymore. Emily and Olivia exchanged glances. It was as if history was repeating itself, but this time they were ready to help from the start. Madison, Emily said gently, you've come to the right place. We'll help you. Don't worry. Olivia nodded. And we'll help your whole family find a better way. As they guided Madison to a quieter table to talk, Emily reflected on how life had interesting ways of coming full circle. It had started as a waitress concerned about a customer, and now she was graduating as a psychologist, helping families through a project born from her own experience. The afternoon flew by with Madison sharing her story and receiving guidance and support. Her parents were called, and surprisingly, they were open to joining the program. When the restaurant was closing, Emily stayed behind for a few minutes alone, arranging the chairs and reflecting on everything that had happened. Olivia approached her. What's on your mind, Aunt Emily? How one person can change another's life just by paying attention and caring. You changed my life and my family's, and now we're changing other families' lives. It's a beautiful cycle, isn't it? Yes, and you know what? Every family we help will go on to help others. The impact will never stop. Emily smiled, feeling a deep sense of purpose and fulfillment. Olivia, when you graduate and officially become a psychologist, do you have a specific dream? I do. I want to open a family support center in every neighborhood in the city. I don't want any child to go through what I went through. That's a beautiful dream. And you know what? I'm sure you'll make it happen. We'll make it happen, Aunt Emily. Together. As they left the restaurant, Emily glanced back one last time. There, in that simple place, A transformation had begun, one that changed lives and would keep changing them for years to come. The story that started with a waitress noticing an odd conversation had grown into something much bigger, a support network, a new calling, a family rebuilt, and above all, proof that small acts of courage and compassion can have extraordinary consequences. End of story. Now we want to know, what did you think of this story of courage and transformation? Have you encountered a similar situation in your own life or community? Share your thoughts about Emily's actions in the comments and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories about everyday people making a difference.